In 2019, Spirit Airlines was on top of the world. Its stock hit record highs. Passenger loads were strong. Analysts praised its profits. And despite the $3 water, the $50 carry-on fees, the cramped seats, and the long list of charges passengers joked about, travelers kept booking those $29 fares without hesitation. Spirit had cracked something no other U.S. airline had fully mastered: a ruthlessly profitable, ultra-low-cost model. But before I tell you how that empire came crashing down, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep making these deep-dive documentaries for you. Chapter 1. When a disruptor loses everything. Within a few years, the same airline that once reshaped the pricing of American aviation was drowning in losses, stuck in a failed merger war, bleeding market share, and facing bankruptcy twice. Billions evaporated. The stock collapsed to pocket change levels. Employees faced layoffs. Travelers lost the only true budget option some cities had. The fall happened fast. Too fast for an airline that once looked unstoppable. This is the story of how Spirit Airlines rose from a small charter company to America's most infamous low-fare disruptor, and how in just 5 years, the strategy that made it powerful became a billion-dollar mistake. Spirit's fall shocked analysts because it wasn't a slow decline. It was a near vertical drop. A model once praised for efficiency suddenly looked outdated as competitors modernized. The airline that once bragged about being cheap and proud of it was now struggling in a market that had evolved without it. Chapter 2. From charter company to industry rebel. Spirit didn't begin as the yellow, no-frills carrier people know today. Its origins trace back to 1983, when it operated as Charter One, a Detroit-based tour company offering vacation bundles and charter flights. In 1992, Charter One rebranded as Spirit Airlines, moving into scheduled passenger service. Throughout the 90s, Spirit behaved like any other budget airline: affordable fares, regional routes, and a modest network. Nothing hinted at the storm Spirit would eventually unleash. Then, in 2006, the airline made the boldest pivot in its history. A new CEO, Ben Baldanza, took the controls. He believed the US market was missing something Europe already had: a pure, uncompromising, ultra-low-cost carrier inspired by Ryanair. The idea wasn't simply to be cheap. It was to break every tradition of American flying and rebuild the system around one concept: sell seats for nearly nothing and charge passengers for everything else. Airlines laughed, passengers scoffed, but Spirit pursued the model with absolute conviction. And soon, it became the most controversial airline in America. Baldanza's shift toward the ULCC model wasn't just bold, it directly challenged American flying culture. US passengers weren't used to paying for basics, but Spirit knew millions cared only about the lowest price. By embracing the backlash and focusing exclusively on cost cutters, Spirit found a customer base the industry had long ignored. Chapter 3. The ultra-low-cost gamble. Spirit went all in on what it called unbundling. No free snacks, no free drinks, no free water, no free carry-ons unless they fit under the seat. You want to select a seat? Pay. Print a boarding pass at the airport? Pay. Bring a bag? Definitely pay. The backlash was loud. Spirit was dragged across social media, mocked on late-night shows, and hammered by consumer rights groups. But Baldanza didn't care. His logic was simple: if you want comfort, fly someone else. If you want the lowest fare, fly us. And he was right about one thing: millions of travelers cared only about price. By 2010, Spirit had reinvented itself as America's first true ULCC. The money poured in. Between 2011 and 2015, Spirit's revenue doubled from $1 billion to over $2 billion. Its operating margin soared above 23%, beating giants like American and United. The success came from 3 core strategies. 1. Extreme aircraft utilization. Spirit squeezed more seats into its Airbus jets than any competitor, up to 30% more, turning every inch of cabin space into revenue. 2. Industry-leading ancillary fees. Where others made 5 to 10% of revenue from extras, Spirit pulled in nearly half its income from fees. 3. Operational simplicity. One aircraft family. Point-to-point routes. High-density leisure destinations. This wasn't just efficient, it was disruptive. When Spirit entered a market, average fares across all airlines dropped by around 17%. Economists called this the Spirit effect, a shift so dramatic it often forced legacy carriers to create basic economy simply to compete. Chapter 4. When the world stopped flying. In early 2020, COVID-19 crushed global aviation. Every airline suffered, but Spirit suffered differently, and far more severely. Its customers were overwhelmingly leisure travelers, the exact group that disappeared overnight. Its routes centered on vacation hotspots, the exact places that shut down first. Its business relied on full planes and rapid turnaround. Two things impossible in a world suddenly built on distancing and restrictions. Spirit's capacity fell by more than 80%. It burned hundreds of millions. And by the end of the year, it was $500 million in the red. But the pandemic didn't just drain Spirit's bank account. It shifted passenger expectations. Travelers now wanted flexibility, cleanliness, and comfort. Legacy airlines removed change fees permanently. Basic economy became more generous. Major carriers improved reliability and expanded domestic networks. Meanwhile, Spirit faced staffing shortages, operational meltdowns, and mass cancellations. In August 2021 alone, Spirit canceled nearly 3,000 flights in 10 days, a fiasco that cost tens of millions and shattered its already fragile reputation. By 2022, Spirit needed a lifeline, and two airlines came knocking. Bigger airlines quickly shifted planes to stronger markets, but Spirit's concentrated focus left it with few alternatives. As its key destinations stayed shut, Spirit was forced to sit and wait while competitors regained momentum. Chapter 5. A merger war spirals out of control. In February 2022, Frontier Airlines offered to merge with Spirit for $2.9 billion. It seemed like the perfect match. Same aircraft, same strategy, same market. Together, they'd become the largest ultra-low-cost airline in the US. But 2 months later, the industry was blindsided. JetBlue launched a hostile takeover bid worth $3.6 billion, far richer than Frontier's offer. Spirit's board panicked. On paper, JetBlue's bid looked tempting, but in reality, it came with huge regulatory risk. JetBlue was already under antitrust scrutiny for an alliance with American Airlines, and the Justice Department was openly hostile to consolidation. Spirit warned shareholders, JetBlue's offer might never be approved. JetBlue didn't give up. They increased the bid again and again until it reached $3.8 billion. Frontier improved terms. Finally, in July 2022, Spirit shareholders voted down the Frontier merger entirely. The board was forced to accept JetBlue's richer, but riskier, offer, and the risk proved real. In January 2023, the Department of Justice sued to block the merger. A year later, a federal judge sided with the government. The deal died. Spirit's stock collapsed. Spirit scrambled for alternatives, including a short-lived regional partnership with JetBlue in 2024, but that effort also failed within months. Chapter 6. The Collapse. How a giant ran out of runway. After the merger imploded, Spirit's weaknesses were exposed in brutal detail. The US wasn't Europe. Ryanair thrived because it could dominate secondary airports with little competition. Spirit, in contrast, fought for customers in the busiest hubs, directly against Delta, United, and American. When Spirit dropped fares to $29, big airlines could match those prices for months, using revenue from business travelers and premium cabins to subsidize the losses. Spirit couldn't fight that. Meanwhile, fuel-efficient jets entering other fleets erased Spirit's cost advantage. Spirit added new aircraft ordered years earlier, just as demand softened. Excess capacity forced Spirit to slash fares even further. Revenue per seat plunged nearly 15% year over year in early 2024. Legacy carriers also copied Spirit's playbook: fees, basic economy, stripped-down options. Spirit lost the very uniqueness that once made it powerful. The airline responded with drastic measures, deferring aircraft deliveries, planning to retire 26 planes, cutting smaller routes, considering sale-leaseback deals for quick cash. Investors saw these moves not as reinvention, but as desperation. Debt ballooned above $3.9 billion. Cash reserves shrank. Spirit began warning openly that it might not survive. In August 2025, Spirit filed for Chapter 11 for the second time in a year. Its stock sank below 50 cents. Layoffs began. Competitors circled its assets like vultures. Frontier, once rejected, now stood to absorb Spirit's displaced customers. Legacy carriers quietly celebrated the disappearance of their cheapest rival, and millions of travelers faced a new reality. Spirit Airlines once believed it could rewrite the rules of American aviation. In a way, it did, but it also revealed the limits of disruption, the price of ignoring service, and how quickly a billion-dollar advantage can become a billion-dollar mistake. If you enjoyed this video, then you'll definitely want to check out my breakdown of Vevo and its downfall, where I uncover how one of the biggest names in online music collapsed almost as fast as it rose. Make sure to watch that next. And if you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video to support the channel. Now tell me, which company, industry, or downfall should I cover next?